The chair recognizes the gentleman from Utah, Mr. Bishop.
Secretary, thank you for coming here. It's an infrequent opportunity we get to speak to you, and I appreciate your willingness to do that. I've got 3 quick questions for you. I'll try and go through the first 2 as quickly as possible to give you maximum amount of time for the third one, if that's it. First question is there a line item in your proposed budget for wildlands initiative? Just yes or no? We couldn't find one.
No.
Okay. That's smart thinking. Second one, on the RMP process, resource management plans that were done in the state of Utah, obviously averaged between 6 to 8 years in doing so. They did the coordination mandated in FLIPMA, which was not done for the wildland policy, in which they talked to locally elected officials as well as having public hearings. They spent 2 years specifically on wilderness studies for those public lands. And the decision was the 2.8 million acres in Utah that had some characteristics, 2.4 million did not have enough characteristics, but 400,000 did to be managed for their wilderness characteristics. Your wildlands proposal overturns that. So unless you want to interpret that the professionals on the ground were wrong, which I would highly doubt, or that the process, which was correct, and the analysis was done by experts, what specifically about those RMP proposals is wrong in their answer? Their answer was 400,000. What was wrong in that answer? And I want a specific and a very brief one, if you could.
If I may, Congressman Bishop, because I know you have a major concern on the wildlands policy, and I think it's good because of Utah being a great example to talk about this. I'm going to have David Hayes, who spent time in Vernal, Utah, and a number of different times, as have I,
Got to be specific
talk about it
for me.
with
Mr.
respect
Hayes,
to how it
specifically.
applies to Utah.
The issue, Congressman, is that the 2.4 million acres that have wilderness characteristics in Utah, the RMP process provided no guidance whatsoever to BLM, to industry, or any party as to...
Mr. Hayes, let me go to the question. I'm not talking about process. The process was done.
Yes.
What specifically about the answer was wrong? What was wrong with their answer?
There is no clarity in the RMPs about how to manage the 2.4 million acres that have wilderness characteristics. We're proposing to simply go back to that process and ask and answer that question through the RMP amendment process.
So what was wrong with their decision by the professionals on the field in what you called a rush to judgment?
The inventory was excellent. It identified 2.4 million acres of wilderness characteristics, and it provided no guidance to industry, to BLM folks, or anyone as to how those lands
So their
should be
answers,
managed.
the answers of 2.4 without enough characteristics, that was accurate?
We think the inventory was good, was
So
well
that,
done.
the 2.4 was the accurate answer.
The problem is that there was no guidance in the RMP
So
for
we're still
how
looking,
those lands should
we're
be
still
managed.
only looking at 400,000 that will potentially be guided as wilderness, managed as wilderness. You're not changing that.
No, that's well.
All right, fine.
That's,
Then there's no need for going through the process. Let me then go to the real one.
no. I
Mr.
think
Secretary. Thank you. Answered it. Let me try the real one, Mr. Secretary. Look, you've received a great deal of congratulations for the management style of the Department of Interior, often by people who aren't really impacted by it. I mean, the ranking member is a great person, but to be honest, he has to go on a road trip to find BLM land close to his hometown. We have others that really still think of the West as their personal playground or as a nice backdrop for John Wayne movies. Mr. Grijalva once jokingly said that he wished his state had as much public land as my state. I agreed with him, but for different reasons. So it is true of all the public land that is owned and managed by the Department of Interior. 93% is found west of Denver, correct?
I'm not sure of the number, but in general.
I'm close. 4% is found east of Denver. So the question I have to have, sir, especially after the Smilands proposal, which has no statutory requirement to do it, nor, as we found out 2 days ago in our hearing, has a statutory authority to do so, then here's the question. These are the letters from the locally elected officials in our state. Why is the overwhelming majority of locally elected officials, why is the overwhelming majority of elected governors in the western states, which has 93%, and I have to tell you, the elected officials who are in Congress are not that crazy too, why are they opposed to what you are trying to do? Why are the people directly impacted by these decisions are the ones who are complaining time and time again about your decisions? That's why I wanted to give you enough time to do that one.
Well, 19 seconds left. Let me just say, Congressman Bishop, that I think there is a misunderstanding on your part and the part of many others with respect to the wildlands policy, and so we will communicate with the citizens of Utah as well as with others about the specific consequence of the BLM wildlands policy.
Ms. Secretary,
I
that's a
will
perfect thing to say, and I appreciate you doing it. I just wish you'd done it before you made the announcement.
Let me finish. First, it is very important for you to recognize that this is a requirement of the law. And in fact, the Circuit Court of Appeals have recognized that this is a mandamus responsibility that we have in the Department of the Interior. Second of all, there is no acre that has been made or designated as wildlands, and we recognize that wilderness designation is ultimately an authority of the Congress. And thirdly, that as we move forward with the RMP process and moving forward with how we manage public lands, we will seek the local input of people to provide us guidance on how we move forward.